Hello everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Video Clips. I'll start with just a couple of announcements. First of all, I don't know how many of you know this, but we actually have a wonderful program through our school called Nutrition Educator, and it's an alternative for the person who would have gone to dietetics school but was put off by the philosophy of dietetics and the fact that so much of it is geared toward working in a hospital or some type of facility. And so anyway, if you'd like to know more about it or learn about what we're offering summer semester, we always do an abbreviated set of classes summer semester, but the Diet and Lifestyle Intervention course, which is for anyone who wants to take it, but it's specifically geared at doctors, nurses, dietitians who are looking at retraining themselves to help people with diet and lifestyle change more. And then the three courses that we're offering as part of Nutrition Educator are Nutrition and Cancer, Dietary Intervention in Employer and Group Settings, and Food Service in Institutional Settings, a course on that, and Psychology 2, which includes the psychology of communication, teaching skills, and problem solving. And so if you're interested in talking about some of our educational programs, we do own a school here, and we offer some of the best training in nutrition and healthcare. All right, so I'm going to start with, I want to talk about the resistance a little bit, which is going to be fun, but I want to start with what I call the fake COVID news, and we're going to have this as a feature on a regular basis. Well, according to a report aired on CBS this morning, demand for COVID-19 testing in Grand Rapids, Michigan is really high. The report featured a video of a long line of cars waiting for service at the drive-in testing site at Cherry Health, but the problem is that the whole thing was staged for the cameras. CBS subsequently reported to local News 8 that Cherry Hill admitted staging the line and did not tell CBS, and they then removed the video from their website. Well, according to Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe, employees tell a whole different story about this, that the CBS News crew pulled medical professionals off the floor and away from patients, treating patients, in order to line up vehicles. And so in an exchange with a Cherry Health insider, it went something like this. You're telling me you're 100% certain that CBS News Corporation staged a fake event. They faked the news, they faked the reality, and broadcasted that to all the audience last Friday on CBS This Morning. And the insider replied, 100%, absolutely. Now, some employees didn't mind being identified. The insider reported that Nick Ross, a cleaning site supervisor, said apparently the news crew wanted more people in line. Maria Hernandez-Viquez, a professional registration specialist, said that Cherry Health Director of Quality and Informatics Glenda Walker helped to organize Cherry Health employees into the fake testing line. A registered nurse recorded by a hidden camera said, "It's just annoying because we could have done other stuff, you think? Creating the fake news is really not their job at the health center, just saying." Another nurse said, "We knew they were coming. We had no clue that we were going to have to do fake patients." Another registered nurse, Allison Morrow, recorded on hidden camera, said she and other medical professionals working the drive-through testing site did not administer the actual swab swipe a CBS News was filming, but the actual patients were made to wait in line while the fake patients were being fake swabbed. I mean, she said, "We pretended." There were a couple of real patients, which made it worse because they had to wait. During the CBS segment, President and CEO of Cherry Health, Tasha Blackman, said that her facility needed gowns and masks, I guess, to keep up with the fake patients. You know how you need more gowns, fake gowns and fake masks. I mean, I don't know why we can't use those if we've got fake patients. She told Project Veritas in a phone conversation that neither she or CBS had anything to do with the fake line. So CBS, somebody staged it. They were fake patients. So anyway, I love when all the rats in the sewer start turning on each other. They did it. No, I didn't do it. We're going to see more of that as I think all of this unfolds. And then this is another one. Walla Walla County Department of Community Health Director Megan DeBolt retracted her claim that people were holding parties for the purpose of deliberately exposing one another to COVID-19. DeBolt had previously stated that contact tracing showed that people were attending these parties in order to become infected, and she really moralized and sermonized to people that this was really irresponsible behavior, except it never happened. And yesterday I reported on the contact tracing and how they're going to get really aggressive with nationally tens of thousands of people doing this. And apparently doesn't work so well because it alerted the health department, one of the health departments in Washington State, that that there were parties going on, only there weren't. And so any of you who are watching this who are going to scream at me this week via email about what you're hearing on the news and you want me to actually like take you seriously, now you might understand why I don't. All right. And as if that's not enough, actually the New York Times, which is not known to report anything that doesn't go with the party line, reported on April 14th that New York City had increased its death toll by 3,700 people after officials said they were now including people who never tested positive for the virus but were assumed to have it. I mean, I think you can understand how unreasonable it would be when you're locking people up and doing all these draconian things for these people to actually confirm the cases. I mean, this is crazy talk asking them to do this, obviously. After stating that the cases were essentially fake, the Times reporters write this: the numbers brought into clearer focus the staggering toll the virus has taken on the largest city in the United States, where deserted streets are haunted by the near constant howl of ambulance sirens with the people who don't have COVID. Far more people have died in New York City on a per capita basis than in Italy, the hardest hit country in Europe. And so, so they report that the cases are being ginned up as fake, and then they report that we've got to keep in mind the staggering toll. I can't fathom the mentality or the lack of intellectual capability of somebody who actually would read this in the New York Times or hear about this stuff and say, yeah, there really is a pandemic, and anybody who doesn't wear a mask and stay inside is part of the problem, and they're irresponsible, and why are we opening stores? Why aren't we letting people go bankrupt at home when we have a pandemic? It's a fake pandemic, but it's a pandemic nonetheless. All right, well, let me give you some good news now. People are starting to fight back. They are starting to fight back. And in fact, civil disobedience is the way many things in our country have been done in the past. Think about Rosa Parks. Think about the Tea Party. I'll have more to say about some of this on Friday, but in any case, in Connecticut, you might remember last week I reported they were instituting the drone program to make sure people were social distancing and identify infected people. Well, within 2 days of starting this in Westport, Connecticut, response from an angry public shut it down. The plan was to use drones to hover around the city and make sure that people were maintaining 6 feet of social distance. They were also able to measure body temperature, heart rate, and other vital signs so they could identify infected people and then make them come up with names. And I mean, this is like living in a police state. The drone was tested at a Trader Joe's store and determined that while the people standing in line were social distancing, they were not exactly 6 feet apart, and the drone flagged them as being too close. So people just started screaming and hollering. I mean, this is like a bad science fiction movie. Have you ever watched a movie like this where you're sitting on the couch and the world's getting ready to come to an end and you're just waiting for somebody to come and rescue the situation? Only here we don't have a rescue yet. That's what this sounds like. So Jim Marp, I talked about him last week. He was very excited about this, and he's the first selectman of Westport. He said, quote, "We heard and respect your concerns and are therefore stepping back and reconsidering the full impact of the technology and its use in law enforcement protocol." I think some people need to dismantle the drones, find them and dismantle them, and let's show people what we think of their technology. So the resistance is alive and well, and I'll tell you something else exciting is that the police are starting to fight back too. So it appears that everybody is getting tired of this. Outright defiance is becoming more common. People are refusing to social distance, and they're opening their businesses even though they don't have permission to do it. They're refusing to stay home and protesting instead. And by the way, the media doesn't show you the number of people. I have people sending me pictures from all over the world protests, and when you see these, the media will say, well, you know, a couple hundred people showed up in downtown, whatever. And when we get pictures of it here, and of course this is wonderful to accumulate because I'm writing a book on the topic and this will be great to include, but we get the pictures and they're like 10,000 people and by the way, the authorities know that there are more people that are being reported because they're trying to shut down streets that lead into cities and that sort of thing to try and contain it. But Anyway, I think it's spectacular. I want to encourage more of it. But governors have largely ignored both their state constitution and the U.S. Constitution, making new rules and regulations without consulting state legislatures, and then really saying to the police, now we want you to enforce them. And this is done in regimes, by the way, run by despots and in communist countries, but this is really new in the United States, where governors and health departments can just make up anything they want and then tell the police, you are law enforcement, but the operant term is law, and you are law enforcement, we're going to put you in charge of enforcing it. Well, police officers are fighting back, and it starts in New York City. The police union has called for an end to enforcement of social distancing. The police union says the rules are vague and the messages are mixed, and that enforcing the rules is interfering with their relationship with citizens. Videos of police arresting people for sitting on park benches or playing with their children have been posted from all over the world, and in New York, a video of an officer violently arresting a man who violated social distancing rules sparked outrage. A woman was arrested or put in a police car when she was by herself in a park with her child. I mean, it's just despicable. Additionally, while the police are kept busy trying to figure out if all the people sitting on a blanket in the park belong to the same family, they're unable to do their real job, which is to prevent and investigate criminal activity. New York City Mayor de Blasio has released over 1,500 inmates from jails since this debacle has begun. And I think it's really interesting. You can be fined or jailed for opening your hair salon or feeding your family or playing with your kid in a park, but we're going to let the murderers and the rapists out. And this has already started to create a lot of criminal activity here in Ohio. We already have somebody who was let out, committed murder, back in. Rapist who was let out, raped somebody else, back in jail. Really unbelievable. Apparently the criminals don't observe the shelter-at-home rules, which is really shocking because you'd think the criminals would want to stay safe, but apparently they don't take that into consideration. But I digress. So New York City Police Union President Patrick Lynch says that politicians have, quote, been watering down our laws, releasing real criminals, and discouraging proactive enforcement of real laws. He reports that the subways are in chaos and nurses are getting mugged on their way to work. But, what would you expect in a state where the governor announces that most of the people being hospitalized with COVID-19 have been sheltering at home, but is working on more ways to quarantine people? I guess we wouldn't expect anything different. Now let's go west to Washington State. Snohomish County Sheriff Adam Fortney says that Jay Inslee's stay-at-home order for the state of Washington is unconstitutional, and he will not enforce it. He actually put this on his Facebook page. He says, quote, I believe that preventing business owners to operate their business and provide for their families intrudes on our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As your elected sheriff, I will always put your constitutional rights above politics or popular opinion. Fortney argued that the stay-at-home order, which aims to slow the spread of coronavirus by barring people from gathering, violates Washingtonians' First Amendment rights to religious exercise and peaceable assembly. He posted on his campaign page, not on an official Snohomish County social media channel. The post, Fortney wrote, was prompted by a Tuesday evening news conference in which Inslee laid out a roadmap for reopening Washington's economy that could soon allow the return of some elective surgeries, outdoor recreation, and construction projects. The governor stressed that the timing of that reopening will depend on the state's progress on key public health indicators. So after seeing that, the sheriff wrote that, quote, he wondered if he even had a plan. He said he wanted to defy the order 2 weeks ago, but decided to wait out of respect for the governor and my own misguided hope that each day he did a press conference, he would say something with some specificity on how to get Washington back to work. After what I witnessed tonight, I can no longer stay silent. I'm not even sure he knows what he is doing or knows what struggles Washingtonians face right now. And I have the same suggestion for Inslee. You need to stop using any source of income other than the amount that the average person in Washington state is getting from unemployment, and let's see how long you last. And stay home. Don't get in your car and go to your job. That's another thing. These people are free to move about who are imposing all of these draconian measures. So there are other sheriffs in Washington state who won't enforce the order, according to this one. He didn't name them. Raymond, Franklin County Sheriff, has come out against the stay-at-home order, as have the commissioners of Franklin County, where 207 people have been infected with the coronavirus and 4 have died. Riverside County, California is another area where defiance is alive. Sheriff Chad Bianco said on Friday, May 8th, he would not stand in the way of business owners who want to exercise their constitutional rights to open their businesses and provide for their families. And he also has no intention of arresting or fining anyone for not wearing a mask or exercising outside. That is in direct defiance of Governor Newsom's order in California. Bianco said he does not agree with being forced to let criminals out of jail while making law-abiding citizens criminals for feeding their families. He feels that government should not be deciding arbitrarily who is essential and who is not. I agree. I mean, I think it's just amazing that hundreds of people can go to Home Depot and Costco and Walmart and grocery stores and are not allowed to go into a shoe store, a dress shop. We're starving out the small businesses in the United States and promoting the big businesses. And you know what? If you had asked any of these people about this before this all happened, they would have told you what a bad idea that is. Big is bad. They always want to bring these big corporations to their knees. But now that they're in power, no. That's not what they're interested in at all. So anyway, just kind of unbelievable when you think about it. And, you know, as bad as things are, at least the resistance is alive and well. And we need to have more of that because there are more of us than there are of them. So just keep that in mind. All right, that's all for now. My email address is pampopper@msn.com. If you're interested in anything that we do here or some of the free things that we offer, such as a free sample yoga class, a free workout via Zoom, free trial membership, our newsletter, weekly newsletter, pampopper@msn.com. Thank you for watching.